Hey, what's up guys? This is Nick at BarBend.com, and today I'm going to be trying out Dymatize ISO 100. It is a super popular and mostly hydrolyzed whey protein powder. I'm going to talk about the brand. I'm going to see how it tastes with 2% milk and with water. We're going to go through the nutrition, the ingredients, who it might be good for, who it might not be quite so good for, the price, and some other pros and cons. Now, if you want to read the full written review, you can just Google it with BarBend plus best whey. But if you want to keep watching this video, let's get started. So Dymatize was founded over 20 years ago, and they're currently based in Dallas, Texas. And the company stands out in the industry for a few different reasons. The first is that their flagship product isn't a regular whey blend. This is mostly hydrolyzed whey protein, the pros and cons of which I'm going to get into in a little bit. Also, all their products are tested by informed choice, which means that they have been tested for banned substances. So that could be really good news for competitive athletes or just anyone who really wants to make sure their products are extra pure. So the science team is led by Dr. Robert Wildman, who is also a registered dietitian. And they've sponsored a bunch of different athletes. I mean, the roster can always change, but there are MMA athletes and also physique athletes. The point of which being, of course, that these protein products and all of their other products are for everyone. Their product line includes mass gainers and fat burners and creatines and protein bars and all the normal things that you find in a supplement company. But definitely their flagship product, and perhaps the most interesting addition, is this Dymatize ISO 100 protein powder. And again, this is really unusual in the industry because their most popular protein powder, although they do have other types of protein powder, is mostly hydrolyzed whey. Let's see what the chocolate peanut butter flavor tastes like. A lot like a peanut butter cup, I gotta say. Unusually for this product, they recommend you only mix 1 scoop with like 5 to 6 ounces of fluid. So you can see it's not like super, there's not a lot of fluid here, but it does result in a pretty strong flavor. So I mix this with some 2% milk, which is the most popular milk in the country, and it's very sweet, I gotta say that. It's not a really earthy sort of chocolate flavor, but the peanut definitely comes through. And that's because it doesn't just have like peanut flavoring, it actually has defatted peanut flour in this as well. So you really get a nice strong peanut butter flavor there, and again, it really does taste quite a lot like candy. Okay, so now let's see how this tastes with some water. Dymatize makes pretty sweet protein powders, and this is such a sweet powder and there's so little fluid here, again it's just 5 ounces, that there wasn't a massive difference in taste between using it with milk and using it with water. I will say a couple things though. First of all, it dissolves very, very nicely. It's not clumpy at all, which is pretty impressive. And also, while I was expecting that without the milk, it was going to have a more earthy cocoa taste, which is often the case, the flavor that actually came through more was the peanut flour. So while before I would say it did taste quite a bit like a peanut butter cup, now I would say it tastes more like roasted peanuts. There's more like a roasted peanut flavor to this. So if you like that, you're gonna like it better with water. So that's chocolate peanut butter. And there are a bunch of other flavors this is available in. I mean, the flavor roster can always change. They can always add and take them away. But right now there are over a dozen other ISO 100 flavors out there. So some of them are only available in larger sizes, like smooth banana, but there's still a lot of options you can choose from, and they're really diverse. You've got something like, there's orange creamsicle as well. And there are 4 kinds of chocolate, and there's also natural vanilla and chocolate flavor as well. So there's 4 kinds of chocolate if you're counting that one. Personally, I've also tried the gourmet chocolate flavor, and I gotta say it's also not a very strong flavor, but is a very sweet flavor. So the pro of that is, again, really good with water, but yeah, it's not the most overwhelming taste in my opinion. Let's take a look at this nutrition label. So 1 scoop is just 120 calories. You're gonna get 25 grams of protein in that. 2 grams of carbohydrates with no fiber and 1 gram of sugar, and 0.5 grams of fat with no saturated fat. I should point out that those macros can change between the different flavors, but yeah, pretty much just 1 gram of sugar in this, which is pretty impressive. No saturated fat whatsoever. The cholesterol is just 3% of the recommended daily intake, and there's 7% of your daily sodium. That could be a pro or a con depending on your individual goals. For some people, that's a bit too much sodium, but and other nutrients, there's 5% of your daily potassium, and there's also 2% of your iron and 10% of your calcium. In my experience, protein powders typically have a little bit more calcium and often a little bit more iron as well, but then again, most people don't take these products for the micronutrients. So as far as the ingredients go, the first, of course, is hydrolyzed whey protein isolate. I'm going to tell you what that is in the next section. And after that, you've got whey protein isolate. So contrary to what some people say, this isn't actually all hydrolyzed whey. It's a mixture of hydrolyzed whey and regular whey protein isolate. After that, this flavor has partially defatted peanut flour. That's not going to be in the other flavors. Then you got some cocoa powder as well, some natural and artificial flavors. There's some salt, as I mentioned, it's a little bit high in sodium. Then there's some soy lecithin, that's to improve mixability. And there's also potassium chloride and sucralose. So a few main things to point here. Sucralose is an artificial sweetener. It's also called Splenda. Some people don't like it, but this does not contain acesulfame potassium, which is another really popular artificial sweetener that's usually in protein powders. Normally protein powders have sucralose and acesulfame potassium. Of the two, I would say acesulfame potassium is probably the more controversial, so some people might be happy with that. Another thing to note, this does contain soy, which some people don't really like. I'm not making a value statement. I'm not saying if it's good or bad, but some people do try to avoid it. If that's you, that might be important information. And then third, again, this is a mixture of hydrolyzed whey and regular whey isolate. So if you're looking for just hydrolyzed whey, you might be out of luck here, especially because we don't even know the percentage of which is which. So I would have liked to have that information. So who might this product be best for? Well, first let's talk about what hydrolyzed whey is. So I first heard about hydrolyzed whey when I was a younger lad following a popular online bodybuilder, and that's because hydrolyzed whey is said to absorb more quickly than regular whey. So the reason for that is that it's just processed in such a way that it's sort of partially broken down before you get it. Some people consider it partially digested. So for that reason, it just absorbs quite a bit more quickly. That difference in absorption speed probably isn't going to make a huge difference for most people, but a lot of like upper level athletes who really want to make sure their muscles are getting whey protein powder, getting their protein, their amino acids as fast as humanly possible, hydrolyzed whey could potentially make a difference in that regard. It also could maybe be good for people who experience allergies with regular whey, and also people who have difficulty digesting regular whey. Again, that's because it is partially already broken down, so it's just a bit easier on the stomach. For some people, potentially, it can be a bit easier to digest. In general, hydrolyzed whey is less allergenic than regular whey and regular dairy. So that's not just because it has the lactose stripped out, and I should mention that this is lactose free, which is going to be good news for a lot of people. But it's also because it's free of allergenic epitopes that are sometimes present in whey, and those can cause some people like dermatitis and stuff like that. So there are other different kinds of milk and dairy allergies. This has a lot of these problematic compounds taken out of it, so it could be more useful for some people. Now that's just a maybe, that depends on you, and I should really take this point to say that I am not a doctor, and you should speak with your physician if you are concerned about allergies and things like that. Nonetheless, this product is a bit more popular among people with allergies, and it's quite hypoallergenic, which is why hydrolyzed protein is often used in baby formula. So while those might be considered potential pros for hydrolyzed whey, I should also mention that hydrolyzed whey does not contain the same amount of immunoglobulins and albumins as you might find in whey concentrate. So those are things that could potentially help to improve your immunity. And a lot of people actually take whey concentrate deliberately because it's relatively high in immunoglobulins, which may potentially help to improve your immunity. Tim Ferriss often says that when he's falling sick, he tries out some whey concentrate. Now, it's not 100% proven that by the time you get whey concentrate, it has all those immunoglobulins, but that's kind of a story for another day. I should mention though that if you are someone who takes whey to boost your immunity, hydrolyzed whey may not be exactly the right product for you. With all of that said, I also really need to emphasize again that this is a mixture of hydrolyzed whey and whey isolate. So if immunoglobulins or allergens are of real concern to you, that's going to be pretty important information. Now, as far as the price goes, I do need to state that the price can change at any time for any reason. And with this product in particular, the price really varies a lot. I've seen it available online for $29, and I've seen it available for $54 for this same size tub here, which is 1.6 pounds. So it's a bit hard to say, you know, the average cost, but usually you see it on the cheaper side. So let's just say this is going to cost $35 roughly. So look, this has about 23 servings in it. So you're looking at, for a tub this size, about $1.50 per scoop or 6 cents per gram of protein. So that is pretty pricey for a whey protein powder. That's because, of course, a lot of labor goes into hydrolyzed whey, or a lot of work anyway. It takes a lot of work and energy to break down all these different compounds in the product. So you should expect normally to pay a bit more for hydrolyzed whey if that's really important to you. For comparison's sake, there are some of the most expensive whey isolates out there, the ones that are like grass-fed and all natural and everything. Those are often like between 6 and 7 cents per gram of protein. So there are plenty of proteins that are more expensive than this, but your regular whey concentrate blends, those are typically like 4 cents per gram of protein. So yeah, it is a bit more expensive, but you can get this in larger sizes, and the larger your size you get, the cheaper it gets. So you do have some options there. All right, so what are the pros? Why should you get some Dymatize ISO 100? Well, first of all, it's hydrolyzed. I mean, I've said that a million times. It's not all hydrolyzed, of course, but nonetheless, it does appear that it might digest more quickly than your regular whey protein powders, which might be useful for you. It also appears it probably digests more easily as well. So if you have difficulty digesting your regular whey, especially if whey concentrate causes you trouble, because there's no whey concentrate in this whatsoever, that could be good news for you. There's also no lactose, there's no gluten, there's no acesulfame potassium, which can be controversial as far as artificial sweeteners go in some circles. I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just like saying if you do try to avoid it, you'll be happy with this product. And it's also tested by Informed Choice, a third-party tester who makes sure that there are no banned substances in this. So that's good news for a lot of folks. Finally, it is one of the few protein powders that is pretty tasty with water, in my opinion, but you do have to have a bit of a sweet tooth. Now, there are a few potential cons with this product. Number one, it's a little bit pricier than your regular whey, so if you don't really care whether or not it's hydrolyzed, you might just prefer to get something a little bit cheaper. It's also not all hydrolyzed, so if you really like hydrolyzed whey, let's say because regular whey is tough for you to digest, or if you just think hydrolyzed is definitely better, you might prefer to get a brand that is 100% hydrolyzed whey. That's something that could be an issue for you. It also contains sucralose, the artificial sweetener, also called Splenda. Some people try and stay clear of that. It also has soy lecithin. Some people try to minimize soy at all costs. It also does not contain any digestive enzymes. Now, because there's no lactose in here, it's possible that you might feel like it doesn't need it, because a popular digestive enzyme included in wheys is like lactase to help with the lactose and so on. Nonetheless, a lot of people like to have some enzymes with their whey protein powder just because that could potentially help to improve nutrient absorption. So that's just something to think about if that's a big priority for you. All right, those are my thoughts on the very popular and mostly hydrolyzed whey Dymatize ISO 100. I know that was quite a lot of information though, so if you want to read the full written review, take it at your own pace, you can just Google it, go to BarBend plus best whey.